of how the OmniStone protocol works.
That's great. The way you just answered the question, like how it works, it's so, I believe it's so brilliant. Like even from Web 2 people like joining us today, they could easily understand the way like how Omnistorm works. And I believe aggregation is something we have seen like that defines the liquidity depth on chains like Ethereum and BNB. But Ton is a kind of new ecosystem. So Omnistorm puts STON.fi in a position to become a default liquidity router in an early stage. So let's talk a bit about the insights that made you bet on Ton? Of course, you shared that your founder has been an early developer. You guys have been very early on Ton and seen the potential. But what was the founding insight? Why did you choose only Ton, and how does it integrating directly with Telegram give StoneFi a unique advantage in user acquisition specifically right now?
Yeah. So one of the core things of Telegram and Ton is called mini apps. So if you guys are uh, Telegram users, you might have noticed that you can open up different apps within Ton, and there's this is something you can search. There is it's called Telegram App Center. You can search that, and it's a whole store of different mini apps. Uh, so what Telegram's vision is to be the everything app, right? Similar approach where we see with WeChat, right, where you have in-app applications to play games, or make, the socialify, do DeFi, and so StoneFi. What we did was we also utilized that by having a mini app within StoneFi, and so that by being on the Telegram App Center store, you're getting more access to more users that are discovering. And really, the mini app Telegram mini app system is still quite early. Like the there's still a lot more users that actually on Telegram haven't discovered it. And so this is going to be, in a way, Ton and Telegram's evolution of improving the UX, making it more visible. So in the end, there'll be more users accessing it. And I think it was more recently Telegram announced that for mini apps, only Ton connected mini apps can utilize in the store. And so this is sort of the closeness of bringing Ton, Telegram together. And so that was part of the core that gives StonFi users, by taking advantage and utilizing the mini app ecosystem, which developed our growth. But thanks to our marketing team that does a great job, and having an ambassador program too. If you can check out our Discord, we have an ambassador program that can earn Ston by doing activities and working on promoting and supporting the StonFi ecosystem. And yeah, like some tricks, which is interesting, right? We know, for example, in having ads on Google or ads on Twitter, if you're saying if it's really pushing like using crypto, whatever, you don't you get blocked, right? But there's like tricks to create like an education app, right, about learning about decentralized finance. This all gets approved on through ads, so you can find different ways to kind of move users uh, through different marketing channels that way, right? So there's also some interesting tricks, but yeah, that's how we kind of got to the state we're at. I think plus 6 billion in total volume. We have like 400 pools there, lots of transactions happening. But that's how kind of we got to the state we're at now.
That's That's a strong adoption, I believe, and it shows the Ton community isn't just testing out right now. They are like trading in sizes, getting into some real application. Of course, TonFi is changing the game, like for the whole liquidity providers out there and the builders. But metrics alone don't tell the full story, I believe. Your token design also has some underpins in the system. So Ston is your utility token, but there are also a mention of few other tokens like Arcadstone for the governance and Gemstone for
Mm-hmm.
rewards. So how does these three tokens fit into your design in the whole ecosystem right now?
Yeah. So how it works? One of our this is actually our first utility mechanism that was built. But once you if through our application, you can go on to STON.fi. You can see a staking button. When you stake STON there, there's a lockup period. You can choose from 3 months up to 2 years. What you do is you receive an NFT, so that's the Arkanston, which is to support our governance, and you also receive Gemston, which is a fungible token. So think of like you're getting an extra money bonus, right, by staking. And Gemston has only been released from the stakers that have put in. So there's a limited supply of that. Now, this year, in the second half of this year, we will be launching our DAO. And so the Arkansas NFTs actually will represent your percentage of voting power, right? So think of a DAO with a forum. If you are familiar with DAO, decentralized autonomous organizations, this is sort of you have the community of users, people that hold the token have can propose builds, can propose directions voted by the community, right? That's what makes it a decentralized autonomous organization. And so that's what the Arkansas will be. So right now, if you did stake STON, you will get that Arkansas NFT. It won't be usable yet until we launch the DAO, but that's coming soon. And then the DAO, we will govern what utility mechanics for Gemstone. So right now, there's no utility mechanics yet for Gemstone. It is trading. It has value. So there's already speculation with the token. But this STON plus Gemstone will be governed by the DAO. So changes could be made. I know in our current white paper, our protocol fees gets transitioned to STON, but all is in the air because we're going to be working with the community to make together to make the best utility mechanics for STON. So it's going to be quite exciting. I'm really excited when the DAO is going to happen because that's it's really bringing in your users and STON holders to help you, right? So it's a nice DAOs are a very interesting, but also can be very valuable in Web3.
Completely agree on that point. And the way you just shared with us, it's in white paper, but you will like to have your community vote on it, have the DAO take the decision. I believe that's the beauty of the whole Web3 ecosystem, that founders are not alone deciding what has to be in their product. They are allowing their community, their real users, the end users to decide what we should be having as a product and moving ahead with it. So that's a amazing thing you just shared. And also for listeners who are listening us today, if you're not aware of StoneFi Discord server, kindly check that out. And they have an ambassador program. So if you're looking to get enrolled in a potential project ambassador program, kindly check them out. Their form is also available on their website, and everything you require to be an ambassador is listed on a website. To check their website form and kindly get into their Discord server. Moving ahead, coming back to our original discussion, the modular design you shared, like the three token design, it avoids the pitfall for a single token ecosystem, of course, and governance and utility is all situated. So incentivization is also sorted out. But the bigger thing is unlocking in your roadmap is like cross chain swaps that I come across, like cross chain swap without bridges. So could you give us a walkthrough, like cross-chain swap without bridges sounds like an futuristic thing to me right now. So how you guys are approaching this and balancing it both with UX and security?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so very similar how I explained how OmniStone works with TON. In TON, it's called JATON standard, right? So like you have ERC20 standard with Ethereum, it's JATON standard in TON, and similar to how those swaps work with the two JATON token swapping is how we're doing it for the cross chain approach. So, but in this case, with cross chain, we're using arbitrage resolvers. So you remember that with OmniStone, you have like TON aggregators, right? Market makers that are resolvers fighting for the quotes. So this is the same approach, but using arbitrage market makers, right? That are searching for the best arbitrage deal, in a way, is aggregating cross chain, right? Which is really allows having much better rates for that. And how the UX is working is it's the same approach. So because it's using the hash time lock security measure, right? That means that if the there's a secret, but if the receiver doesn't share the secret passphrase, right, the secret password, you and it won't happen, right? Because there's also a time lock sensitive matter there. So because it's a using hash time lock security measure plus a request for quote through arbitrage, it allows similar to how you feel using any DEX, right? You're connecting your wallet, you're making that swap, right? So you're not depositing to some centralized location to wrap or bridge your token. It works seamlessly, just like how you use an AMM, right? So that's sort of the benefit of what we're doing, and that's right now, as you know, in our roadmap. So we are building our cross chain, which it's always hard to give the exact dates, but we're pushing for Q1 launch. So there is still more time. We're building that. We have other things on our roadmap too. So since which I can talk about as well. But that's basically how the cross chain approach works.
Great, thanks for sharing that. And I believe bridge exploits have been the biggest source of hacks in crypto. In If Ton can demonstrate secure interpolability, like without relying on those bridges, of course, StoneFi is leading that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a narrative shift for the whole ecosystem, for the whole blockchain. And you have the resources to scale into that vision, I believe. So recently, you guys raised around $9.5 million in your Series A. How will this fund accelerate your roadmap, expanding the ecosystem, and support developers to get onboarded on STON.fi moving forward?
Yeah. So with that raise, it gives us more now capacity to build faster and build more, right? And so one of our what so as you know, that funds is supporting us to build our cross chain. But at the same time, also, we need to always stay competitive in the market, and in a way, sort of upgrade and improve even our TON swaps ability, and so we're also building our V3 version of STONFi, doing concentrated liquidity, similar to how V3 works, right, with Uniswap. So in a way, the TON ecosystem, where it is, because it's so early, really there was no volume until March 2024. So you can see how early TON is. Um, Everything is catch up on DeFi right now to become this sort of at the same level as Ethereum, as Solana. And so that next evolution of that is the V3. So this is a CLMM, concentrated liquidity. It will improve sort of the APR for the pools. And so that is also part of our roadmap to make sure we build that. And that will also include limit orders. We're looking at also building spot margin trading, which is quite exciting, where you can have long or short positions through borrowed collateral. So those are part of that, and also the DAO, right? That's also an undertaking too. So there's a lot of things cross chain. We got the DAO, we got the CLMM we're building. Um, you know, uh, our team right now, we're pretty good size. I believe last time I checked, we're like 55 people, 80% developers, right? So we're a dev heavy team, which is needed in this ecosystem to be to build the top tech. So dev focused, also very dev friendly with our docs. That's part of my job. We need to make sure all developers are taken care of. That's crucial in sort of the StonFi model, is that all developers that we collaborate with, especially who want to integrate us, are part of our family. And there's many places you can get access. We have a dev chat group that we are constantly helping. If you reach out, if you guys are, if anyone's a builder wants to integrate STON.fi, just you can reach out to any of our channels. They'll move me to you. We could talk about what you're building, and any way STON.fi can help.
Thanks for sharing that again. That's the combination of fresh capital, I believe, to a product market fit that is usually performing right now. And this create an usual breakout for the whole ecosystem with the momentum you guys have. Let's talk. We already talked, I believe, what is immediately ahead of the roadmap. You've shared something regarding the limit orders, the DAO that you guys are preparing. But each of those features is significant on its own. But together, that makes TONFi a complete DeFi suite on TON. Still, scaling features across users and chains comes with a challenge. So my next question would be, what is your biggest challenge today, like protocol complexity, scaling, or user onboarding? And how this infra collaboration with other players in the market can help you get that problem solved?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess when you're have many to stay competitive, you have to build many avenues, right? And that can be a challenge in itself. Where you can, what's the way of saying it? Like, make yourself thin on different aspects, right? I know, like in an early stage of a startup, you usually want to, focus on one function that you're the best at, right? And so then when you're early, that's very easy to do. But when you're expanding, getting bigger, needing to scale your team, sometimes you can stretch yourself thin. So I would say that can be a challenge. That's a challenge right there, to make sure that every new function to stay competitive, we're putting the utmost focus compared to when you were in your early days, just you and your dev team focusing on one specific function to do well. So that I would, and so then that would make sense, right? So when we look at what you guys do at Mentech Labs, you're a company that supports development efforts for businesses in their scaling stage. If I'm not wrong there. So sometimes when you're in your scaling stage, you can look at opportunities to outsource some development, right? And so that can be needed. Um, but yeah, that's I would say that would be the core challenge, right? We have a good user base. We know we have a vision of our direction. Now it's just making sure that the quality for each function that's being built meets higher standard than we anticipate.
Great. Love those thoughts on like building with the infra players. And as you shared, like you already have the user base. So I would like to have a follow-up here. So when it comes to scaling, do you see it's a bigger challenge to share the existing pie on blockchain, or it comes to like educating and onboarding the next wave of non-crypto users from TON? So how does user onboarding works for you? Is it more like educating people from web 2 to use your product, or you're already sharing a pie of this huge cake that we have in web 3 right now?
Mm-hmm. So I would say it's a bit of both. Obviously, this would be a better question for our CMO. But what I do know is we do heavily focus on education, right? Um, there's all these little elements, right? If you're familiar with search engine optimization, right? This is how when you search yourself on Google, you're found, right? And so putting a lot of education content, right? Because a lot of times when you're in Web3, I am personally still learning. I'm constantly, searching, sometimes asking AI, sometimes searching Google. I'm always trying to learn myself as well. And so having focusing on well put together for SEO purposes, making sure it's education, right? Making sure it's you have that content for any question you want to learn, right? About Ton, about Dexes, that can bring in that user base as well. Obviously, so that's like what I would say we focus on now is more on the education side, but going in the future, we'll definitely be looking at, especially with cross chain, because what our company goal after cross chain is to become a top five multi chain DEX in Web3. That's the company's goal right now. And so when cross chain will come about, then that's going to be more, we add more activity about, taking a piece of the pie, right, from other chains that to utilize our protocol that way. Um, and that also involves, so not just getting the users, but uh, users coming to STON.fi, but there's also another whole element of bringing developers to build, right? So anytime a developer wants to utilize, let's just say, our swap function, right? They want in their application the ability for their users to swap tokens. That's another model we have. So we want to support them to have that functionality, and then that, in a way, that is adding users to StonFi, right? Because it's using that protocol, it's adding volume, and then these the integrators can also, have a small fee for them to earn everything for sustainability. So not there's approach to attract users with education, but then at the same time expanding the amount of products that want to utilize some type of DeFi function. They can go through us and utilize it that way. And so in a way, there's a B2B model as well as a B2C. So, and going back to challenges, that can be a challenge as well, right? Because we're not just focusing on B2C, just for users to come. We also need to support the business to business side of StonFi too. So that's kind of like our approach and how we grow.
Great, love that approach. And exactly, I agree with that. That ecosystem in blockchain doesn't grows like a top-down approach. They go from bottom to top through builders to real users. And Ton's low fees and Telegram funnel make it a fertile ground for dev these days for this early adoption. Of course, if there is a dev or a liquidity provider listening us today, they can check out StoneFi on their website and kindly reach out their team if you want to build with them, being a part of their community, be builder with them. So you just shared the bigger vision with us that how you're gonna go ahead with it. But I would like to have your opinion on the bigger vision that Ton might have and what role that Ton is going to play in StoneFi. So how do you see exactly Ton's low fees and Telegram native UX drive the mass adoption in DeFi in 2026? Any thoughts you
Mm-hmm.
have?
Yeah. So if you can see, Ton right now is a bit in its sort of a growing pains stage. Solana had a similar approach, right? When Solana launched, they had a boom and then it went down. So we're kind of following that same time. So now, activity is a bit lower, but there will be, it's inevitable. A resurgence happens the closer with the development of Telegram. So how I imagine it is because Ton is still playing catch up on DeFi, but this is coming close. Like, I think, pretty much I would say by Q1, Q2 from StonFi, what we're doing plus other protocols are doing, we're going to be caught up on the DeFi side of things compared to other chains. So I almost imagine because with Telegram and mini apps, I imagine there will be more of a transition with the DeFi backbone to allow other sectors to come into play. So this would be an example of bringing in GameFi. I do envision a more social fi, more GameFi, because think of Telegram. Telegram is a social messenger, right? And so I almost see after DeFi is caught up with the backbone, now GameFi, SocialFi, other types of products can come in, utilize some DeFi mechanics to support their utility of their tokens or for the games itself. But I see actually that is kind of the direction in the future with Ton and Telegram, just because it just makes sense, right? Telegram mini apps are ways to create business concepts that improve Telegram as a social messenger, right? So I do see that is a direction where Ton becomes a payment gate through that way, and supporting these other type of sectors.
Agreed, completely agreed on that. And as you shared before as well, so Ton is kind of the whole Telegram is kind of going to be all-in-one app, like what have been WeChat in China since. So of course, those development verticals like GameFi and SocialFi you shared, Ton, I believe, already working on that part. He already have some successes there, and StoneFi is doing an absolutely amazing job there helping all those builders in DeFi right now. So let's wrap things up with something sharp for builders and liquidity providers listening us today. If what's STON.fi one-line pitch to Web3 developers or liquidity providers deciding whether to build or allocate liquidity on TON? If you can just give us a one-liner to all those builders and listeners today, it would be very helpful.
So I guess see a good one liner would be um, a one-stop integration approach for everything DeFi, right? In Ton. Um, so that's kind of how I would sort of being with StompFi being a focus, being very dev friendly, focusing on the developers with integrations. Um, that's how me as the DevRel guy would kind of sum it up. Maybe others would say a different direction, but that's what I do. And one thing to add too, we do have a grant program. So anyone that's listening, interested to build on Ton, utilize StonFi, you can check out our grant program. It's ston.fi/grant-program. It's a Google search away. We give small grants to support your development time with integrating. So that could be of interest. So check us out there too.
Thanks for that one liner. Thanks for sharing about the grant program. If someone is a developer or a liquidity provider looking to build with StoneFi, they can check out their website. All the details regarding to grant and how you can apply for it is already available on the website. So do check out their website. And Ethan, finally, before we end this session or close this whole exciting space, I would like you to add some alpha here. I know you have been like disclosing many of the things regarding DAO and other features that you're going to that are on your roadmap and you're going to release. But of course, if you have some alpha for a community, because at the end, these people, all our listeners, are a part of a huge Web3 community. They come for the alpha, but stay with the product because the product is so solid. And with the StoneFi, you are building a very solid product out there. So if you have some alpha for our audience, we would be happy to have some alpha from your end.
So are you referring to alpha as like um,
Something.
a early stage product for to testing or?
So, in this alpha terms, I am specifically pointing out some announcement that have been not done from StoneFi yet that will help
Mm.
developers to keep in contact with you. And when you drop that announcement, they will be more into interacting with those announcements.
Oh,
That kind of alpha.
understood. Okay, so yeah, we are in September. We'll be launching our widget, our swap widget, which is uh, a much easier approach to integrate StonFi. So think, a widget is utilizing an iframe. So this is, a few lines of code, you can integrate swap functionality within your product. So that's something special that will be much easier for builders to utilize, and then you can brand it however you want with your front end. So it's something I'm quite excited for on the DevRel side that we'll have a widget. And I guess, if to let you guys know when you're using StonFi, uh, if you go and click the settings button, that's where you can actually turn on OmniSton. In about a month or two, OmniSton will be the official default browser, and a big percentage of users are just using OmniSton right now. But that's something to note down, that if you want to see OmniSton in action and trying a swap, just go right when you're on StonFi on the web app. Just go to the hit settings, and then just turn on OmniSton there, and then you can actually see it in the works and see which resolver quotes are catching.
That's some great alpha, guys. I believe if you're looking for some alpha to get into the early stages of the project, this is it. If you are a content creator, check out their ambassador program. If you're building, check out their grants, check out their community. They help you to build with them. If you're looking for a DeFi aggregator, STON.fi would be the one-stop solution for you, specifically if you are moving ahead with the Ton chain right now. So before I end this up, make sure you follow StoneFi on their Twitter, explore their website, join their Discord community, and turn on the notification for every platform so you don't miss any of the notification. At Mentech Labs, we also work with founders scaling DeFi, tokenized infra, and AI product. If you're building in a space, we would love to collaborate with you. Thanks, Ethan, and thanks to whole StoneFi team, and thanks to all listeners who joined us today. And it's a pleasure, Ethan, to host a space with you, to host a space with StoneFi product. Let other people know what you guys are building behind the scenes. And thank you for your time. It's a pleasure. See you guys in the next
Yeah.
space. Until then, keep building.